In this video, I'm going to discuss using isometrics and the iso chain for training for martial arts. Hey, if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. My name is Eric Moss. I'm a personal trainer, motivational speaker, and a modern-day strength performer. If you're unfamiliar with what a modern-day strength performer is, picture the strength performers of old. Legends of the past like the mighty Adam and Alexander Zass. They would perform real-life feats of strength as part of a live show. I do a similar thing, but with a modern-day twist. Some of the feats of strength I've performed in front of a live audience include things like bending steel bars, breaking chains with my chest, twisting horseshoes, rolling up frying pans, driving nails through wooden boards by hand, and even holding back a high-performance motorcycle. Now, being a modern-day strength performer, and the fact that there's not a whole lot of us around these days to answer people's questions, in an effort to grow my YouTube channel by giving you guys what you want, I started a YouTube series called Ask Eric Moss, where I'd invite you to ask me a question by dropping it in the comments below. And when you do that, I try to get back to you with your very own custom video answering your question. Pretty neat, right? So this question comes from at Crispy Wings 9066, and they asked, if I was training for martial arts, let's say like Muay Thai boxing and Jiu-Jitsu, but all I had was 1.25 kilogram weights, an air bike, treadmill, and an iso chain, how could I improve my performance with fast twitch muscle fibers in the legs, arms, good tendon strength, and overall good performance? Thank you for asking that. Now, before I became a personal trainer and modern day strength performer, I actually do have a background in martial arts. I loved it. And I did, well, it wasn't Muay Thai boxing or anything like that. I started with Taekwondo, Ishinru, and I did Judo, and I loved all of them. That was actually one of the things that kickstarted my interest in strength training. Was the martial arts gave me the confidence, or martial arts helped give me focus when I was overcoming attention deficit disorder, or I should say managing it. You don't really overcome it, you manage it. Now, even though you mentioned some specific martial arts, it sounds like you were talking about in general martial arts, and you listed a whole bunch of them, in which case what I would do is I would look at the quintessential original guy who would talk about multiple martial arts and specifically training strength for them. And that would be Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was like the MMA guy before MMA guys were a thing, and his system of Jeet Kune Do was taking a bit of this and a bit of that from various martial arts and applying them into one system that works for him. He was also one of the ones that was credited with working with an iso chain, and he had a routine, and honestly, that would probably be the exact thing that I would do if I was in your position with the iso chain. I'm going to list them all, but I'm going to have a picture of it in the video when I do the editing. So, the exercises, and it would basically, this would be around 3 times a week. And it would be press lockout. That would be like overhead press. Press start. That's also part of the overhead press. Rise on toes. Pull. Parallel squat. Shoulder shrug. Deadlift. It's listed as dead weight lift, but that's basically the deadlift or the hinging pattern. And quarter squat. So he had recommended 6 to 12 seconds per exercise. Now, one of the issues with isometrics is that you can hit the law of accommodation relatively quickly. The law of accommodation is basically when your body figures out that whatever the stimulus is that you're doing, if it probably isn't going to kill you because it hasn't so far, so you probably don't need to adapt. That's what happens when there's not enough variance in the workouts. Now, typically what people will do is that they will change the exercises, which actually kind of fools them into thinking they're making progress. but you don't have to change the exercises. You just have to change the sets, the reps, the load, that sort of thing. Now with isometrics, there isn't really a load that you can change because you're basically going to be pushing or pulling as hard as you can within the given time frame. So what I would do instead is I would take a pair of dice and I would roll it. And however many dots are up, that would be how long I do the contractions for. So, it could be as little as 2-second holds or as high as 12-second holds, but most of the time it would be around 7-second holds. And that would be not including like a 2-second ramp up, because you don't want to jerk right into it. You want to build into the contraction a bit slowly. So that would be one way to do it. I've also seen routines of Bruce Lee's where he was doing curls and like triceps work. That might be another option. But in terms of like when I'm putting together a program, and the isometrics program wouldn't really be much different, is I think of upper body push, upper body pull, knee dominant, hip dominant. If you cover all 4 of those, it's a relatively well-rounded workout. And from a functional perspective, I'm biased a bit more towards overhead pressing than I am towards horizontal pressing for functional gains, or I should say for transfer to most things. If you want to have a stronger bench press, you have to bench press. And horizontal pushing does have a higher transfer than people realize, but I don't think it's as high as overhead pressing. So that would be how many seconds you hold the contraction for. You could also vary the amount of rounds that you do, in which case I would take a single die, roll it, and however many dots are up is how many rounds that you do. So you could get as little as 1 round. You could get as high as 12 rounds. And varying it like that should provide enough variety so that you can kind of ward off the law of accommodation. One of the things that you do want to be wary of is central nervous system fatigue, in which case probably just what I would do is pay attention to when you're texting people or when you're typing things up on the computer. If it feels like your typing is a bit clumsy, like you're like, why am I typing weird? That is going to be a symptom of central nervous system fatigue, because one of the first indicators, the canary in the coal mine, is when fine motor control goes south. Fine motor control would be things like writing, typing, that sort of thing. So just simply pay attention to that, and if it starts going down, maybe back off from the isometrics for a week or 2. The air bike and all that stuff will be great for keeping your cardio up. 1.25 kilogram weights would probably be, what is that, around 3 pounds, 5 pounds? You might be able to do like shadow boxing. That might just be a little bit too heavy. It's like if you try to mimic the movement with weights, or I should say, I would probably not even mimic it. I would just do something explosive like that. I've seen footage of Fyodor Emelianenko doing that with a barbell. You could do the same thing with those weights, trying to move them quickly. But you don't want to completely recreate the patterns of the moves that you're doing, because part of what creates the movement is specifically timing sequences of your muscle fibers in coordination with the other ones. And that could throw off the neural patterns if you try to make it too close to it. And you want to still focus on technique. And that would actually be the other thing, is make sure you are practicing your art. If you're boxing, make sure you're hitting the heavy bag. Make sure you're practicing all of that, because it's like with technique, it can overcome strength to a certain extent. But technique backed with a lot of strength and a lot of power creates very dangerous people. And that's kind of what you want to go for. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any other questions for me, or you need follow-up or anything like that, drop in, or anybody else has questions for me, drop it in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you with your very own custom video. But if you like this video, let me know by hitting that like button. If you want to see more of this sort of thing, or you want to see some of the uh, chronicles from my performances across the country, subscribe to the channel. If you think anybody should see this, please share it with them. This YouTube thing isn't rocket science, and if you want to support the channel, do all the things that I just mentioned. That helps me get found by the algorithm. And if you want to further support the channel, you could pick up a copy of my book. The book chronicles my journey becoming a modern-day strength performer, as well as like some of the fun stories I've learned along the way and the lessons that I learned that allow me to do the things that I can do. And also, you can further support the channel by providing a super thanks. And if you provide a super thanks with a question, I'll shuttle your question to the front of the queue. Right now, I'm about 10 months behind from various things like redoing the gym, there's been a lot of changes here, and just getting busy with my life and career and all the other things that I've got going on. And then I had lost momentum, and I'm trying to break inertia and regain it. So I'm going to try to catch up on all the questions that I missed out on. But that is it for today. Please stay tuned for next time. And in the meantime, please stay happy, healthy, and strong. Eric Moss, over and out.